Hello everybody, today talking about some things involving Johnny Gaudreau and kind of some surprising things here. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Really close to 500 subscribers, would love to get here maybe after this video, but we'll see. But anyway, let's talk about this. So, Johnny Gaudreau signs a 7-year deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Very surprising. Why is it surprising? Well, I think it's just because Columbus is not really in a spot where they can compete in the coming year, or at least I don't think they'd be a playoff team. And then also it seemed like he had a lot of interest in other areas. The biggest thing here was that Gaudreau really liked the idea of going to the Philadelphia Flyers. Not exactly something that would make sense to me, would he fit into Tort's system? And then of course Philly is in a weird spot where they have some pieces that could be good, but are they really a playoff team? But again, he is from southern New Jersey, so the mindset was, he could play there, be close to home. Apparently the Flyers never made an offer to him. Fletcher is probably having the worst offseason you can have as a GM in just really 10 years since he started with the Flyers. Had a lot of bad moves. I did defend the Ellis thing, I think a while back ago, but Ellis, of course, had a bad year if I remember correctly. But back to Gaudreau, he wanted to go to the Flyers. They didn't even give him an offer. So he turned his attention elsewhere. And then it popped up that the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders were two teams that really could be in the mix of this. At that point, I really did think that the Devils were going to be the team to snag him. You're from New Jersey, you play for New Jersey. It just kind of made sense, and along with it, they have a team that is not bad. I know that they haven't won a lot of games, but adding Gaudreau would be a shot in the arm, and I do like some of the directions that they're headed as a franchise with their forward group, especially with Hughes, and it seemed like it made the most sense. I don't know exactly what happened there. I don't think we ever really got a big answer as to that. But he ended up kind of shifting his attention away there, and then they signed Palat later that night. But moving on over to the Islanders, this is really the focal point here for this. Lou is the GM in Long Island. He is known for having this legacy where he's won Stanley Cups, kind of an old-fashioned guy. Players can't wear a number above this. You got to have your hair cut and stuff like that. You got to look presentable in his eyes. And he was possibly going to be getting Gaudreau. Whatever reason, I guess he just couldn't land him. And at that point, I think Johnny wanted a little over $10 million was the reports. And I don't think a deal ever was able to circulate here. The problem is with the Islanders that they are a team that made the playoffs multiple years in a row in the Barry Trotz era, but they weren't able to replicate that success this year. The problem is, I don't think without Gaudreau, they're in a spot with this forward core that they can really make a lot of noise. Not saying that Gaudreau is going to suddenly elevate them to being the best core, the forward core in the league, but getting a player of Gaudreau's ability and having him on there with their top line would have been good. The top 6 role, whatever, however you wanted to adjust the lines. But having him there would have been a big deal and helped you out offensively, because during the Trotz era and things like that, they've been known to be more of a defensive team. And it would have just made a lot of sense. Gaudreau is coming off a career year in terms of points, had 115 points, and is a very good player. Again, nothing happens, and I guess that maybe they just didn't offer the money, and I saw a variety of reasons here. But looking back at all this, I just think it's ridiculous, mainly for the Flyers and the Islanders. The Devils, I really would have liked to see them get Johnny, but you look at Philadelphia. If a player of Johnny's caliber comes on over and says, I want to play for you, and you don't even make an offer to him, I don't even know if they reached out to him at all. That seems odd. And maybe you have to move some contracts around, absolutely. But to get a guy like Johnny Gaudreau, where you're not even in a position where you're trying to do a rebuild, why not try to move some stuff around to get Johnny? Doesn't make sense to me. Again, I don't know if he would have fit very well in Torts' system, just because Torts can kind of be a pain. But he did play with Daryl Sutter, and they're very similar in the sense that they're, do your job, don't just be like a one-way player. But still, kind of a weird thing there, and I think that is another reason why Fletcher probably shouldn't be the GM of the Flyers, as we've seen countless time again, that in his short-ish tenure, they haven't been making good moves. Whereas the Islanders with Lou, I'm not saying that the window is closing or whatever, just because I don't really know if there is ever a window to really win the Cups. Ironically, I think there is if they beat Tampa Bay those years. But in general, with the roster you have now for the Islanders, you're not winning a Stanley Cup 95 times out of 100, 98 times out of 100. Getting Gaudreau probably doesn't make it to where it's, 20 times out of 100 you're going to win it. But you're in a spot where you're in a position to have more versatile player and a more versatile lineup and a more exciting lineup. You get a big name guy to come on in and revitalize you. Again, you're in the New York market, the Islanders are, and they talking about Long Island, all that good stuff. But the New York market right there with the Rangers, those are your sibling rivalries right there. Rangers got big name players, had a big year, not saying that they'll replicate it, but the Islanders do not want to be the redheaded stepchild like they have been for various points in their franchise history, and this felt like a really good choice to possibly get a big name player like him and to do things. Again, I don't know, it sounds more like a rant, and I do get that that's probably annoying, and for Flyers fans and Islanders fans, it might sound like I'm dogging on you. I'm not. I'm just saying I am a little surprised, because Jarmo Kekalainen comes on in, and you're telling me that with his contract, which seems to be less money than what other teams offered, that he's able to get him to go to Columbus, Ohio. Nothing wrong with Columbus, I think, in my opinion, because reality is you're going to be spending 5-6 months of the offseason wherever you want to be. But the thing is, you're telling me a guy from New Jersey couldn't end up in Long Island. Flyers couldn't get any deal done for him, didn't even really seem to make an effort to try to get him. And then for the Devils, again, don't know what happened there, but I really would have loved to see that. Unfortunate for them. At the end of the day, I don't know who loses more, the Flyers or the Islanders. I would probably say the Islanders just because they're in a better position to win. But the Flyers, again, another team, not going to be rebuilding per se. They're not going to be as bad as Arizona. But with this roster now, they certainly are going to be winning a cup. So why are they in limbo, and what do they think is going to happen here? I don't know. We'll have to see. But what are your thoughts on all this? Who's the biggest loser between the Flyers and the Islanders? And then what's the logic here? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Hey, have a great night. And you go love hockey, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.